Tractor Ballet, Chapter 19, as Eddie had just pulled me and the tractor up out of the ravine. Wildly jubilant that the old girl had started after coming so desperately close to not, I stood up and waved. Yes, she started to Todd, who pumped his fists in the air and danced happily about in response. Thank you, baby doll, I said aloud, affectionately giving her battered old rusty hood a pat. Knowing that given 20 or 30 minutes of running time at half throttle or more, the generator would recharge the battery. I lifted the throttle up to roughly 2/3 and, following Eddie's earlier suggestion, put the tractor into reverse. I waved across the field to Todd, signaling to start the pull, who in turn signaled Eddie. The pull started off uneventfully, and Eddie picked up the pace a little, and then a little more, and all seemed well. Then, coming off the dead flat of the swell and onto the slight convexity rising up, another blast of the lashing wind, the tractor rocketed off to the left so violently as to near dislodge me. Pulling the throttle wide open, I dumped the clutch, hoping, of course, to counter the wild slide, only to realize I was still in reverse and had exacerbated the situation. With no brake on the left to arrest the ballast-filled tire's centrifugal motion, I knew no amount of throttle manipulation and double clutching in the world was going to allow me to engage a forward gear. Realizing at the pace the tractor was traveling sideways, it was inevitable it would cross over the chain, and violently. So at that, I attempted a maneuver born of wild, terrified desperation. Leaving the throttle wide open, I slapped the ignition toggle switch to the off position and held the transmission shifter grinding against a high gear forward. As the motor stopped spinning, it allowed the gears to mesh as simultaneously I slapped the toggle switch to the on position. The rear tire was still spinning backwards, of course, wanting to make the engine as well spin backwards, and it momentarily did, but then when the spark of the ignition hit the fuel-laden cylinders, poor old baby doll literally exploded back into life with a sonic boom and a mighty blast of flame out of the fuel-laden exhaust. With the old tractor's left wheel spinning madly forward and the right locked on the brake, I was astounded and horrified to realize it was little in the way of affecting my approach to crossing over the chain and the potentially deadly results that would entail. Cursing madly while simultaneously praying to fate, the powers of all that be, Greek, Roman, Christian, Nordic gods, whatever, I watched horror-stricken as the chain came literally within an inch of crossing over the front tire. What the fuck is going on here, I wondered aloud, as I thanked the aforementioned deities, and the chain slowly retreated back down the tire. What's going on? I should have been able to counter that slide once I got the tractor into forward gear. I wondered as the tractor started slowly to pendulum back towards the center. No, Eddie, I screamed, though whether out loud or not, I don't know, as he resumed pulling me forward. Sure enough, the tractor began to swing like a pendulum off to the right, every bit as violently as it had previously to the left. Worse, far worse yet, I was headed straight into the ravine. The voice of panic yelled, "Jump," and the voice of reason screamed, "Don't do it. You'll have no idea where you'll land going down in there." Eddie, no doubt realizing my plight, wisely slung the hoe the rest of the way around while I again performed the desperate stall, the motor slap and grind. Excuse me. Eddie's rapid swing of the hoe served to accelerate my rate of travel, but also thankfully brought me short of rolling back into the ravine. And by short, I mean only just. Excuse me. This book's musty. It makes my nose run. Throttle wide open, right wheel locked, left now thrashing in reverse. I looked over my shoulder and realized I was once again perched on the lip at the top of the ravine and was now looking straight down into the roiling pool at the bottom of the waterfall. This can't get any fucking worse, I thought to myself. Sure it can, kid, said Ernie's devil as his pointy head popped out of the ravine. Check this out. What the fuck? The tractor was wagging its head like an epileptic dog. The chain, all 100 yards of it up to Eddie's hoe, was undulating wildly. Eddie's hoe was dancing and hopping. Todd, rising to his feet, he's got me anchored to the truck and the hoe, I thought. And looking over his shoulder at Eddie, turned and fled up past Ernie's truck. The truck was bouncing crazily on its suspension as both doors flew open, and Ernie and the old man leapt out and fled in pursuit of Todd. Slowly, the old tractor scratched its way to the left towards center. The chain stopped undulating, the hoe and the truck stopped dancing and bouncing about. Three little heads poked cautiously and cartoon-like from behind the truck to peer down at me. The voice of reason spoke up and said, "Okay, now you get off the tractor. Use your hatchet to get safely down to the center of the ravine, climb out Ernie's safety, walk up around and say, simply just cut her loose, boys. This is madness." And then the voice of madness piped up. "You danced your little baby doll in there. You can dance her back out." "Really?" the devil asked as his head popped up again from the ravine. "You want to dance with me some more, do you?" "Come on up out of your hole," I replied. "You come up here, I'll dance this little old tractor all over your ass till you're nothing but a red smear on the ice." "Ooh," the devil laughed as he disappeared back down into the black horror. Well, of course, none of that shit with the devil actually transpired. I just threw it in there for my own amusement. That bit about the voice of reason and cutting the tractor loose, that was real. The reality was now I was sitting shaken, trembling, and numb on the tractor as the crew cautiously gathered, no doubt for a confab, 100 yards or so up the ice. What the living fuck am I doing wrong here, I wondered. Why can't I seem to counter what I now was thinking of as Eddie's pendulum effect? Is it mirrored due to the chain and my response is backwards? No. Should I be anticipating it sooner? Maybe. Staying on it too long and need to shut down sooner? What am I doing wrong? It's got something to do with that chain. It must be, but what? Tug, tug went the chain, and realizing I was sitting and staring at the hood, I looked up to see Todd signal, "Are you ready to try again?" Eddie was back in his hoe, and Dad and Ernie in the truck, although I didn't draw any comfort from the fact they'd left the doors open. Excuse me. "Okay," I signaled back. "Really?" the devil asked, popping his pointy horned head up once again. "Well, I'll be damned, kid, you do have balls." "Oh yeah, big brass shiny balls," I replied fearlessly. Well, of course, there was no devil and no such conversation. That's just comic relief. The reality, I was scared shitless, to coin a phrase. Between the truck doors remaining open and Todd's cautious retreat from between the hoe and the truck, I could only conclude the confab they'd had up there didn't dictate they had any more faith in the results of this pull than the last. The next pull went much the same as the first, except I was now safely beyond the grasp of the ravine. If Eddie pulled me any faster than a snail's pace, the pendulum effect would send the tractor rocketing off sideways, and no tactic at my employ served to counter it with any degree of effectiveness. The gusting wind and the evolving variable of the slope in the field conspired to ensure I couldn't even predict which direction I was going to go careening off in. Left shaken and frightened and worn at the end of the second pull, I stared dully at the tractor's hood as Todd shuffled the chains in preparation for the next pull. Excuse me. This can't continue, I thought. It's a little more than dumb luck I haven't crossed the chain how many times already. But we hadn't traveled but a small fraction of the total distance, and this was knocking the hell out of me. What have I got left in me? Maybe 2 or 3 more pulls before I'm simply too spent to keep up. Any misjudgment or fumble at all, and across that chain I go. Tug, tug went the chain. Oh, the fucking chain, I thought, staring down at the loathsome menace that at the moment was my lifeline. Eddie and Todd must have thought I'd fallen asleep or perhaps slipped into a coma as Eddie gave another impatient tug on the chain. It's that damn chain. Why can't I dance to encounter it? Why can't I dance to counter it? Because it's pulling you, you damn fool, the voice of reason spoke. Well, yeah, but why is it impervious to my finest dance moves? The wind-swept ice denies you the traction resistance to defy its strength. Well, that makes sense. Realize that while the chain is both your friend and foe, you must learn to work harmoniously with it. Have you been watching Kung Fu? David Carradine's, Tuesday, 7 a.m., Channel 9. Never miss it. Right. Well, good. Glad you enjoy it. Care to tell me how to harmonize with my friend slash foe here? Well, I've been thinking about that and haven't a clue. Can't figure it. Tug with the chain again with enough force to give me a jolt. I watched the chain as it undulated, bounced off the tractor, and rippled back up the chain. It was one of those eureka moments. I stood up and waved at Todd, pointing loudly twice at Eddie's hoe and pantomiming with exaggerated gestures, explaining to Todd what I wanted. Eddie retracted the hoe halfway from its full reach. That what you wanted? Todd gestured. Yeah. Now get him to give the chain a flick, I gestured in reply. Eddie gave the hose bucket a flick, and I watched intensely as the undulations rippled down towards me. Depending which way the chain's undulation is aimed when it hits me is the direction I need to go, I thought. Ah, very good, grasshopper, chimed the voice of reason. To do otherwise would negate your intentions. Do you ever watch anything but Kung Fu? Walt Disney's good, Sunday, 8 p.m., Channel 11. Mind you, I did find the end of Old Yeller to be a bummer, man. Reason, do you mind, dude? I'm kind of busy here. One must learn to maintain one's clarity of focus when faced with the adversaries of distraction. I'm busy here, Reason. Bye-bye. The first undulation to hit the tractor pushed its nose to the right. I hastily engaged reverse and raced the throttle and was rewarded with getting the old tractor to dance about 30 degrees off straight ahead. Do it again, I signaled. Eddie sent down another undulation stronger than the previous one, and I was delighted to see it push the nose to the left. High gear, full throttle, right brake lock, and I danced out to almost 90 degrees straight. I played around a bit and danced over to the left, played about there for a bit, and then drifted in a controlled fashion back towards center. Yahoo, I waved up to Todd, who was dancing jubilantly about. Ahem. Yes, Reason, what is it? You do realize when the chain is actually pulling you, you'll again be reduced to being largely ineffectual. Yeah, I know, but now I got hope. What hope is that, my friend? Eddie, I replied. He's going to figure out how to pull me and somehow send undulations down that chain for me to work with. Assuming your ally is as clever as you, no doubt. Hope he is. I fear you still have a long and arduous battle ahead of you. Carol Brandt tonight, 9 p.m., Channel 11. We'll watch it together. Some humor might serve to lighten you up, dude. I will pray to the TV network gods that your endurance rivals your intestinal fortitude and that we may tune in later together. Reason, you have checked out some comedy then. Yeah, that Conway, he's just too much, eh, what? Todd signaling the pull. Reason, gotta go. Hope we make it to see Carol and her friends. Reason was right. The battle was long and arduous. Eddie was indeed clever enough to see what I needed down on my end and more than skilled enough to provide it. The problem was he had no more control over when and what direction the undulations came to me than I could to predict what I needed in them. It wasn't the physicality that was shit kicking me, it was the stress and the intense concentration. How many pulls? How many times did Todd have to swap chains around? I have no idea. I do recall on more than one occasion Eddie had to give me a tug to snap me around to start another pull. I was so mentally exhausted that I didn't realize it was the last pull until the front wheels of the tractor below me crossed off the hard ice and up onto the granular frozen snow. Peering dully about, it took me a moment to realize I was right beside Ernie's truck and Eddie's hoe was dangling fully extended over the top of the truck. I'm almost safe, I thought.